So the story I'm going to read is titled 7 p.m., Room 71, Melissa. Erwin Ermine is a schedule, a plan, a timetable that smoothly, relentlessly executes each moment from minute to minute, day to day to day to day. Every 24-hour schedule carefully written in a graph paper notebook, every 5 minutes placed into 288 little blue squares on the page, a self-fulfilling prophecy of comfort and reliability, of moments contained, paused at, pondered on, and filed away into Erwin's neurons and axons, memories that can be called on at a moment's notice with photographic accuracy and scientific intent. Each Sunday, sitting on his couch with the Weather Channel on the television, he makes the following week's schedule. Awake at 6 a.m., shower at 6:15, towel dry at 6:25, dress at 6:30, breakfast, cereal at 6:35, eat quickly to avoid sogginess, toast at 6:40, and so on to avoid any surprises or delays. The highlight of his week is the 12 graph paper boxes spanning 7 to 8 p.m. on Saturdays, the time period he would save until last to write down. Room 71, Melissa, with all the care and love a man like Erwin is capable of. Erwin is not particularly tall or particularly handsome. Over the years of squinting at a computer screen and reading the tiny writing in his notebook, his eyes have shrunken into steel-colored marbles that dent his face just above the nose like a possum. Erwin has combed his white hair into the same wave at the top of his head for 3 decades. His back is slightly hunched, and he is so thin, his head makes him look top-heavy, as if he needs a tail to balance his weight when he walks. He rides the Halstead bus to and from work every day, boarding on the front at Armitage Avenue and exiting in the rear at Madison Avenue. He has memorized the schedule. When the bus is late, his cool, emotionless eyes focus on the driver as he pays his fare. He leans forward and hisses, "It's 8:04. Try to be on time tomorrow." The bus driver pays him no mind. Erwin stares at her. He notices the driver's name tag reads Sandra. She closes the door and drives the bus forward. His voice rises in pitch. "Listen to me! Can't you even hear?" Everyone on the bus looks at him now, and he knows it. He is like his mother when she used to yell for no reason. He scolds the passengers like school children. Schedules are important. They print them for a reason. Then he sits in the empty seat behind the driver. Since it is winter, Erwin is wearing his brown trench coat with black pants belt to hold it together. He has large gray earmuffs on his head and is wearing boots, holding his well-broken-in loafers in a knotted plastic bag. Every couple of blocks, he looks around the bus to see if anyone notices him and moves to a different seat further back. By the time the bus reaches Grand Avenue, he is sitting in the most rear seat next to a woman listening to music on earphones, who is hoping no one talks to her. As the bus drives closer to Madison, Erwin switches seats, and finally at Madison, Erwin stands immediately in front of the rear exit, waiting to get off. When he does, it is precision. Using the elasticity in his Achilles tendon, he bounds like a spring fawn onto the sidewalk and hopes somebody notices his small display of agility. He thinks this is where organization and grace meet. If only people could see how perfect it is possible to be. Even though the bus was late when he boarded, traffic was light, and looking down at his watch, he is precisely on time, 8:37 a.m. He has exactly 16 minutes to walk the 5 blocks to his building, and then once inside, he will have exactly 7 minutes to take the elevator and walk to his desk. The order of these moments fills Erwin with the type of joy that makes him notice the sun glinting and gleaming off the skyscraper windows like tiny facets on immense diamonds. The air is fresh and he breathes it deeply. The city working like a clock with everybody rushing to their destinations. The traffic lights precisely timed to maximize the travel of vehicles down each block. At moments like this, he sees Chicago for what it really is, an intricate machine, a system where each piece and part relies on another in order for the overall whole to work. With no family of his own and parents dead some years ago, Erwin considers the city his family. A perfect relationship. Nobody interferes or asks questions. They just accept him for who he is and leave him alone. No complicated relationships, no obligations, just efficiency. Let's skip a small portion. When Erwin thinks of love, he thinks of a machine. He feels the purpose for loving someone is to gain in efficiency, to do with two what cannot be done by one. He had gone on only a few dates with women in his 20s. Each of them ended in a cancellation. No matter how practical-minded they were, the women were never practical enough. They were also never punctual enough. Erwin knew they all might think his schedule was strange, so he would schedule these dates in 5-minute increments of chaos, which would make him nervous the whole time, not his normal, predictable self. His discomfort often repelled the women before he could even reveal the schedule to them. Over the years, Erwin had grown to accept his schedule openly, to not only need it, but to truly appreciate its wisdom. It would be the thing that would get him an ample apartment and a job that satisfied him. He had spent most of his 30s with a woman named Jeanette. She was a nurse who wore thick black shoes. She liked how he organized his life so thoroughly. She agitated him, though, when she wanted to talk about things that didn't matter, like feelings, or wanted to talk for no reason than she felt like it. These things did not fit into his schedule, and it seemed to him they never would. He did not love her. He knew they would never be efficient together. No matter how well he organized his days after he stopped writing Jeanette into his schedule, something seemed to be missing, and he felt very alone. He knew his schedule was not as efficient as it could be. Erwin made the decision on the bus. A woman sat across from him. She was dressed revealingly, and her legs were not pressed together, so Erwin could see all the way up her skirt. She was middle-aged and voluptuous, her breasts nearly falling out of her low-cut top. When Erwin stared at something, it was obvious. He leered at the woman, raising his eyebrows when the bus hit a bump and she bounced. At that moment, Erwin felt he needed sex. He wanted to jump in between the woman's breasts. He needed their warmth, their sensation. The need never seemed to have been greater, but without Jeanette, there was no one to schedule it with. Another relationship would take a great deal of time and chance. Finally, the woman said, "Are you tired of looking yet?" Erwin sharply looked away from her towards the front of the bus. His breathing quickened, and he blew out his nostrils. "Look, honey, it's okay," he was looking, "but it looks like it's been a long time." Erwin's eyes darted back and forth across the floor of the bus. He would be at Randolph soon, then only a few blocks until Madison. He did not schedule to have contact with this woman. "Hey, now, what's the matter with you, mister? You didn't have any problem looking at me before, but now that I'm talking, you can't see me?" Erwin ignored her. "Goddamn men, always the same. I guess I'm fine enough as meat, but you aren't man enough to handle a person, too." She crossed her arms and scowled at him. Erwin felt her disgusted eyes on him for the rest of the ride. He counted the windows of buildings as the bus passed by. Occasionally he would whine in a high-pitched tone, "Stop looking at me! Stop looking at me!" But the woman would not stop. Instead, she said, "How's it feel?" Are the children here? "How's it feel, asshole? How's it feel?" He stood up, looked at the woman, and said, in a voice more like the desperate squeal of a rodent than a man, "You look like a whore!" And he sprinted up the river. It felt to him like the ride had taken more time than usual, but when he looked at his watch, it read exactly 8:37. He was on schedule, but the woman nearly ruined everything. Women are always breaking schedules. They do it to get control, thought Erwin. His father once told him it would be better for a man to hire a prostitute when he needs a woman, rather than get married. Less trouble. Then, for the only time in his life, he took his father's advice. He would hire a prostitute who could be trusted to be on time, a woman with an incentive to appreciate the schedule.